Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today I have a special little video for you. Arnie from AC Business did an interview with me. He asked me some questions about my time at Tesla, building the Gigafactory here in Berlin, my thoughts on the industry, all those sorts of topics. So it's available on Spotify and other platforms, but I thought I would upload it here on YouTube as well. So just sit back, relax and enjoy this interview. But stay on until the end because I'm doing a giveaway for some free conference tickets. So stay tuned, enjoy the podcast, and then see you at the end.
You are warmly welcomed to listen to WDBE Talks, the podcast for the world of digital built environment. We invite you on a physical and virtual journey from Helsinki to Tallinn to celebrate the forerunners of the digital built environment.
Hello and welcome to WDBE Talks. My name is Arni Heiskanen and my guest is Jacqueline Roman, who's been a senior design manager at Tesla. She's also known as an avid video blogger, That BIM Girl, on YouTube. Welcome to the podcast, Jacqueline.
Hello, thank you.
First, can you tell us about yourself and what led you to become That BIM Girl?
Yeah, so I am a civil engineer by education. And well, I think it was while I was doing my master's program, I was working on the side as a working student in an engineering office in a consultancy. And I was just so frustrated with the way that people were using Revit there, that they weren't using it properly, that I was thinking like, oh, I should educate people. Like people should know how to work better with those digital tools. And I've always been a big fan of YouTube and just about the fact in general that for every problem you have nowadays, you can Google it and find a solution online. So this had always fascinated me, that people, like whether it's a cooking recipe or anything, someone has taken time out of their day to help the community and to contribute. And I thought it's such a beautiful sharing economy, right? So I felt like, because I was learning how to use Revit and BIM really well, I was thinking this is something that I can contribute and this is something that I can share. And especially because I saw that not a lot of it is online at that point. There wasn't many resources. So yeah, that was my motivation. And then I think I took kind of some inspiration from like beauty tutorial videos, that kind of style, because I wanted to make it more appealing. Because when I looked at software tutorials that were up there, they were so boring and not really engaging. So I was kind of thinking like, how can I make this more appealing? Because I want people to get excited about BIM, because at that time there was still a lot of resistance in the community about using digital tools. So yeah, and then I just started one day with my webcam to start recording those videos. I didn't have any clue about editing or anything, so I was using free software and did a horrible job at it and had to record everything 2 million times. But it was fun because it was also a creative output compared to my more somber civil engineering background.
And I really like your videos because not only are they professionally interesting for those who use BIM, but also you seem to be so radiating positive energy always. So I think
thank you.
That's
really kind.
Why it's really nice to watch those. And I've noticed that recently you have perhaps shifted your focus a little bit from being a BIM instructor towards something else, but maybe we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I think that you have a vision that drives you. What is your vision, in maybe professionally or in life in general?
Well, I think in life in general, And I remember actually actively thinking about this in my early 20s about what kind of person I want to be. And I was thinking like, yeah, I want to do what's right. That I, at the end of my life, I know I tried at least whatever it means to do the right thing, but that I at least tried. And I think this definition of what is the right thing to do becomes more clear. Like maybe, yeah, like we were talking about it in the beginning, it was more like the focusing on BIM and digitalization. I was really motivated by this, but right now this for me is more a tool, like something, like the mechanics of things. But I think my drive comes more from sustainability. Like, I mean, we are in a climate crisis, right? This is no news anymore. This is not a topic of debate anymore. So this is what motivates me the most right now, is trying to see how we can do better in terms of carbon emissions, and trying to do our best in the next decades or next years that we have left to stop this as much as we can.
So probably your vision leads to a situation where at least our sector, construction, is more, let's say, sustainable and not destroying the environment.
No,
instead,
we're such a big contributor. Like the production of cement globally is contributing, I think, to 8% of the production of cement, because it's such an energy intensive process, is contributing to 8% of our global CO2 emissions. So yeah, you can, and I think 40% of the global waste is also from the building sector. So yeah, we're burning through those resources in our sector. But then again, it's also an important sector because we need buildings. You cannot just eliminate architecture and construction, because I mean, shelter is one of the most important things for us. Everything in our daily life has to do with built environment. We wake up in our bed, we go to work taking the train in a train station that was built by engineers and architects, and then we go to work in an office or somewhere else that was our children go to school in buildings that were designed by architects and engineers. So yeah, it's an important part of our daily life, but it's also really contributing a lot to the bad sides, the bad impact that we are making on this planet.
Speaking of construction, yeah, you also contributing to a new construction project, the Tesla Gigafactory project. So can you tell us more about your experiences and how digitalization has helped in that project?
Well, it was a really exciting time at Gigafactory in Berlin. I was actually joining as one of the first people, as the first local hires in Germany. So the project was kickstarted by a group that came from the US and like really got things off the ground. But then the idea was always to hire a local team that will take over. And I was in the lucky position to be one of the first people of that team. So I got to work with the people from the US and really got the Tesla spirit and the DNA, which was really exciting. And I think the spirit and the mentality was very different from your average German project. And then something happened, which is the pandemic. So I joined in March 2020. So then shortly after that, the pandemic started. And if you remember, Donald Trump was the president at the time, and he threatened to close the borders to Europe one time at some point in the beginning. And so then because it sounded at that moment like he would immediately close the borders, then people, of course, tried to go back to the US before they would be stuck in Berlin. And so overnight, basically the whole team was gone. And we had that, I remember this kind of, now it's funny to think about it, but we had a meeting the next day, and the project lead who stayed, was trying to come up with an emergency plan now for how to handle this with the remaining staff. And he was like starting to say like, okay, so we have these 7 parts of the building and we have these 5 disciplines. So if we have one person for each part of the building and one person for each part of each discipline, then we should be covered. And then he looked around in the room and it was like 4 people in the room. So that was the moment we realized, okay, we'll just all have to give it our best and try to continue driving this project forward. And because you asked about digitalization, this played a major role. Like we would not have been able to build this fast in this situation with the pandemic if this project wouldn't have been completely digital from the beginning. So it was we were working always cloud-based and completely in BIM. So that way, even though most of the team was now in the US, it was still possible for us to work together and collaborate. And then, of course, as we grew and the project continued, we were, I think, at the end, especially in my position that I then took on as a design manager, I think at the end I was managing teams that were all over the world. So basically, like all around the clock, 24 hours, somebody was working on the project, but it was not a problem because it was all cloud-based. So yeah, I wouldn't know how to deliver a big project like this without those methods. It would have been, I don't want to say impossible, but really challenging, especially in the time frame.
But of course, now that you have experience in a special kind of project and also what you have done previously, what would you say is the one thing that you would like to change in the way we are constructing projects or carrying out projects today?
Something that I would like to see changing is the way we approach projects, because I think talking also in the context of sustainability, we need to, I think sometimes, or the way I've experienced projects is that they kind of just start and you have a time frame, and already when you start you're kind of behind in time. So it's always about like trying to catch up. And I feel like if our industry would profit a lot from if we would take more time in the beginning to think about what we are doing and how we want to set up this project and what goals we want to achieve, right? And then you have the room also to talk about sustainability, right? And how can we set this up? It's not always a question of cost. I think sustainable solutions often seem expensive because the framework doesn't match. Because it's not just about like what piece of equipment you choose, right? But if you have designed it from the beginning in a more holistic way, then it's not about a choice of equipment that is more expensive. But yeah. But it's a holistic thing, right? And I feel like this is sometimes missing in our industry. I mean, our industry is also innovation. We don't have a lot of funding for innovation, right? So, and I think that comes from this whole like, yeah, the way we execute, the way we set up projects, that there's so many different parties involved, and also the phases are split. You hand over the responsibility from one party to the next, and they only care about their one part in it. But if we have more of it, and if we have more of a team approach, more of partnership approach when working together with our contractors or with our consultants, that would help. But there's already tendencies to go in that direction, right? So I hope to see more of that.
Well, it became evident that you're passionate about construction sustainability, but now, thinking about the situation in Europe right now, which is not really good, how do you think this situation will affect our ability or willingness to build sustainably in the near future?
So when you say the current situation in Europe, do you mean also regarding the war?
Everything, yeah, because the war, it has so many side effects in general regarding energy supplies and and supply chain and logistics and so on.
Yeah, and supply chain, like you're saying, but also focus, right? It seems like a lot of other important conversations that we were starting to have were first postponed by the pandemic and now postponed by the war, and it's getting more and more critical, but we can't catch a break. It's really, yeah, it's I mean, this war is, it seems so out of time also to have like this kind of war in Europe, or in general. Like we should, it's insane. Yeah, so it's very unfortunate. But I mean, I don't know if this is my bias because of the people I'm surrounding myself with, but I feel like still there is a lot of drive towards sustainability, and there is still a movement that is happening. I was on a really interesting excursion a couple of weeks ago to a project in Munich in Germany, which was a residential project that is built with that was completely in wood construction, which was really really nice. Because not only that from the sustainability aspect, but also like how it affects the room climate, and how then it seems like, especially once you start thinking about sustainability, it leads to positive effects in other areas as well, right? They were considering what could be the best mix of residents, that it creates a good community life there, and things like that. Like this, it was a project from the city, but they also decided to keep it 100% with them and only rent it out, like for the foreseeable future, so that the renting prices wouldn't be affected by speculations on the real estate market, or that these apartments don't just go to the highest bidder. And so I think these things are still happening. They might be slowed down a little bit by what's happening in Ukraine, but I'm still hopeful.
WDBE this year is celebrating the forerunners of the digital built environment and awarding them in 8 categories. So I wonder, to whom or what would you give an award?
They all sound, the different categories sound really interesting. I think if I would be the judging who will win in each category, what I would be looking for is something that is game changing. It doesn't need to be something big. Often, especially with digital tools, it's something small that can make such a big difference, like something that makes the life of the users easier, something that enables people to do something that they weren't able to do before, right? So can be big or small, but I think I would look for something that really affects the work life of the people affected by it.
So you are going to be presenting at WDBE. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're planning to cover for your talk?
Well, it's of course should be still a little bit of a surprise, and to be honest, I haven't fully decided yet. But yeah, so definitely it will be something about sustainability, but maybe in terms of digitalization, because I mean that's what the people are there for. But I'm really interested in batteries right now, like energy storage. Because I think, especially with renewable energies, this is a big, an important topic right now that is going to enable us to go further with renewable energy. But also, like from digital tools, like dashboarding for like when you're designing a building or when you're in construction, that you can dashboard like the impact that you're having. Or databases that give you information about the impact of your materials that you're sourcing and these kind of things.
So one final question. What are you doing now after Tesla?
So I'm doing a MBA program right now. So a Master of Building Administration. Yes, that's the word. But it's in a specialization to building sustainability. So that's my focus. Is I think. So working at Tesla was really interesting for me, especially that project. But I would like to move more into urban development. So I think we talked about it sometimes during this podcast now too, about like the daily life of people, and I think that's speaking about drives. That's something that drives me, is that I want to have an impact on the life that people have, and that's why the urban development is fascinating to me. So.
It's not about just one building, but the whole urban environment.
Exactly. Like transportation, mobility, but also like how do you provide services for people, and how can we live together in a good way?
Well, we know that you're on YouTube, but if our listeners would like to contact you, what is the best way to do it?
Well, so I'm on YouTube. I have my LinkedIn is my normal name, so Jacqueline Rohrmann. But also they can find me on Instagram and Twitter, and that BIM girl. So.
And you're continuing with your video production.
Yes.
I hope.
No, yes, I would like to produce more videos than I do right now, but I have one actually that is in the making currently. So it will come soon, hopefully. Maybe maybe let's see if this podcast will come online first, or my new video.
Jacqueline, it has been a real pleasure talking with you, and I look forward to seeing you at WDBE.
Yes, same. Can't wait.
Thanks for listening. Join us at WDBE.org.
So, I am giving away tickets to the WDBE 2022 conference, The World of Digital Built Environment. It's a 2-day event happening on the 28th and the 29th of September. It's taking place the first day in Helsinki in Finland, and then there's a ferry ride over at night to Estonia, to Tallinn, where the second day of the courses is happening. I'm super excited since I'm going to be a keynote speaker there. And I'm giving away 1 in-person ticket and 3 online participation tickets. The tickets themselves are worth 799 euros, so I'm super excited to be giving away some of them. And it does not include travel, so if you're not going to be able to cover your own travel and accommodation, then I would recommend you to apply only for the online ticket. I've linked all of the details and the rules below, and I'm excited to hear why you would want to participate, what courses you would like to attend, and then I'm going to choose some of the lucky winners. So yes, excited to hear from you, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye bye.